Well, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana Weather. Thanks for logging on here to my latest long-range update. Wow, the rain is finally out of here. It is nice to see some sunshine in the sky. We take a look at radar and satellite here into motion. You've got some breaks in the clouds headed our way. That's certainly a good thing. The rain is racing off to our east, and of course, we got this cold front, though, that has passed through us, and that's going to be responsible for advecting some cooler air in here. We'll look at that in a second. But temperatures around the area, we just zoom in a little bit. Got some breaks in the sun around the area. Still a fair amount of clouds over the area. It's 50 there in Huntingburg, 48 Evansville, 46 as far north there as Indianapolis, 50 in Louisville. So we've still got some cool air around the area. In fact, it's not going to warm up all that much today. Mid to upper 50s for most of us. Louisville might make it up to 60, and some of the bigger cities might make it. Evansville, you might make it up pretty close to 60 today. But I think most of us are going to be confined to the 50s today. So the good news is at least the rain is off to our east, and we've got that working for us. Well, let's talk about what we can expect then over the next couple of weeks. And as we, the next couple of weeks pretty much finishes out May, what can we expect for, the rest of the month? Well, unfortunately, I still have rain in the forecast. Now, we've got some dry days coming in, but it's going to be one of these patterns where we have fairly wet days followed by days that are a couple of days of dry, followed by some more wet days. And of course, that's not good for farmers or for anyone wanting to get out there in your yard. By the time things are drying out, rain's coming back again. Well, that's exactly what we see. At least we have some dry days in here. Let's go through this. All right, there's the rain moving off to our east. Good news is high pressure large and in charge this weekend. We'll make it into the 60s tomorrow, upper 50s for our temperatures today. Look at this, though. But it's May, right? Places in the northeast are still struggling with some snow. Is that not crazy? Blackberry winter. It's not going to last for long, though. We have a nice warm-up coming, as we'll see in a minute. By the time Monday comes in, high pressure moving off to our east. That's going to allow some rain to move in. I think the morning will start dry, but it looks like it's going to be the afternoon and especially the evening hours when we start to see the wetness come in. And by the time we head into Tuesday, in fact, it's looking like it could be a significant rain event for us. Well, significant on the order that we might get another inch of rain out of this. And of course, we don't really need that, but at least we'll have some dry weather this weekend we can enjoy. But look at this high pressure up to our north. That's going to be our friend. High pressure is really going to give us a chance to suppress some of this moisture more to our south as we go into the day on Wednesday here. What you see is we've got a storm system, but high pressure up to our north is suppressing it so far south it may miss us. We'll keep a small chance of rain pretty much in the forecast there, but it's not going to be a big chance of rain by any means. In fact, I think by the time Wednesday it'll pretty much mostly miss us, though. And then take a look at this. That high pressure sticks around for a few days while those systems keep going to our south. In fact, in May, on Friday and Saturday, there's a chance that some of that moisture could leak back up into our area. And so we'll introduce a chance of some showers into the forecast, but it's going to be spotty showers. It's not going to be an all-day deluge by any means, and we should see at least a little bit of sunshine with it. Then once that finally breaks down and goes off to our east there again, we'll have another period where we got some wet weather coming back in. So it's kind of a back and forth, up and down sort of thing. Rain-wise then, at least over the next 2 weeks, not a ton of rain. We're only talking an inch or two around the area here. Of course, that's still quite a lot, but, some of us got 2 inches of rain here in these storms this week. So, in a 2 or 3 day period. So it doesn't look like we're going to have any threat like that right now. Of course, that could always change. Weather likes to change, as you know. But as it looks right now, at least we've got a little bit less wet period coming through with some dry days, even though there will be plenty of moisture. That's at least a little bit of a welcome change. It's a start. Now let's talk about temperatures, where we can go. If we're going to look at our temperatures, we need to take a look at our old friend, the P&A pattern. Are we going to stay cool like this forever? Of course, the short answer there is, well, no, we're not. And here's the reason why. Well, the blue line here is the analyzed index of where we've been. And just remind ourselves that when you have when you have the P&A go into the positive, what you have is a trough, which is a dip in the jet stream over the eastern United States. But whenever you come down here and you end up with it in the negative, you end up having a ridge in this that warms us up. And so what you see is Well, yes, we do have, a kind of a pattern here where we're going to see this, blackberry winter for a couple of days here. But by the time you get into, 2 or 3 days from now, into the 17th through the 19th, what you're going to see is we're going to go firmly into the negative down here. And some of the indices are indicating, so that go out a little further, indicating it could stay negative for quite a while. And if that stays negative for quite a while, this would be beautiful. We would warm up. That would also give us a chance, by the way, to shut down the rain a little bit, or at least as significant. That doesn't mean that you can't have a rain event whenever you have a ridge over you. If that ridge moves just enough into the right position, you could end up, being on the edge of a ridge where you could have some storms right up it. We've seen that happen plenty around here before. It's going to depend on where that ridge is end up positioning and setting itself up. But that means more and warmer weather, and that certainly means that there's a chance that we could be a little bit drier than we have had. I don't know about you, but I will most certainly take that. Let me show you this on the way it looks at the mid-level jet stream as we dip into the 500 millibar level. By the way, here's where we're at right now, and this illustrates for you just exactly why, just sort of exactly why we've got going on. Let's just take a look at the source region for our air. Well, let's just sort of track it back up here into Canada. So the source region for our air right now is sort of all of this air coming down from Canada. Now, it's very cold up here still in Canada. For this time of the year. It's still very cold there, but what's happening is it will moderate a little bit as the air comes down over us. So by the time it gets here, we end up with temperatures like we are right now in the 40s out there instead of in the 20s, and that's certainly a good thing. That's very much below normal for this time of the year, but that will all change, though, as we get in a little bit longer into the period. So let me put this into motion. Notice that northwest flow starts to moderate as we get a little bit later into the period. So here we go to about the 17th of next week. Well, what did we notice about the 17th of next week? The P&A, that trough is fizzling out, going to a more zonal flow for a little bit and very quickly into what we should see here as a ridging pattern over us. Let's go back and see whether that develops. Ah, yes, it does. Look what's starting to form down here to our south. We're starting later in the month, we are starting to get a pretty deep ridge move up here. And here we are by this time. You notice that the direction all of our winds are flowing is now here from the southwest. That would pump warm air into us. But you've also got a cutoff low over here that's spinning, and so that could give some rain to the areas around here. Questions as far as to how much rain that would end up for us around the area, because as again, what you notice here is, well, there's that cutoff low over here, but you're sort of on the edge in this ridge over here. So warm air definitely funneling in. Questions, though, on how much moisture could end up coming with that. That ridge stays around for a good little while before we start to go into a breakdown of that pattern again for a little bit. So temperature-wise, what does it reflect there? Well, here's basically what it does to the temperatures. We've got blackberry winter going on here with temperatures. The GFS is wanting to say a high of 53 today, the ensembles. Now we're going to get a little bit warmer than that, I think. But tomorrow we should go back up to the 60s. We've got a couple of cool days coming, though, for Monday and Tuesday of next week. It's just not going to warm up. I've got temperatures a little bit warmer than this is forecasting. I've got them forecasted into the lower 60s. But eventually we will get to the warm up. And look, as we get into later in the month, we've got the 80s returning back for us. And again, as we just look at this, cool, warming, and then we've got a nice warming trend as we head later into the month. So as we close out May, at least we will close a little bit more on the warm side, and of course that will most certainly be a good thing. And welcome rain. Well, we're going to have to deal with it. As we get a little bit later into the month, again, that becomes more questionable as to whether we will see these serious rains or not. I do think eventually, once the pattern starts to switch, we'll switch to a little bit more of a drier pattern than what we are seeing right now. Is this going to be the switch? We will wait and see at this point, but I do suspect that switch will come eventually. Here's what your 10-day forecast looks at. You can go to southernindianaweather.com and click on your 10-day forecast. I'm progging 57 for your high today. Some of you may not even make it up to that. It depends on how much sunshine you end up seeing. But we should have some sun and clouds out there today. Tomorrow we warm up a little bit, but it's going to be more of a, well, I should have said mostly sunny here. It's just going to be a beautiful sunshiny day around the area. Mostly sunny sort of sky for the afternoon. And then, hey, at least it's a little bit warmer. Still on the cool side Monday and Tuesday with some spotty showers around the area. Really good chance of rain on Tuesday. After that, though, look at this. Questions here as to whether that'll go from 0 or a 20% chance. But remember, high pressure to our north. on Wednesday and Thursday should suppress most of that. That's why I've went with a 0% for right now. We'll revisit that later. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going to a 20 or 30% chance, but it's going to be mostly dry days, warming up though. Small disturbances move to our south on Friday or Saturday. They might move up into our area as that high pressure starts to break down, but the warming trend is certainly there. And even though we got some rain in the forecast, you look at the chances though, 30%, 50% here. It's not as if these are an all-day kind of rain event. It would be scattered to spotty stuff around the area. So that's sort of the way it shakes out for right now, though. Again, some rain coming for us over the next couple of weeks, but so does the warmth with it. With the return of that ridge, eventually that should start to break down the amount of rain that we see. That doesn't mean that everything's going to get shut off. It doesn't mean that we're going to look at seeing a drought or anything at this point, but it does mean that we should go into a pattern where we get some more dry days again, and that's most certainly a welcomed and a good thing. That is it for this long-range update, folks. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. There's your forecast for taking you through pretty much the rest of May. I'll have another one of these updates for you next week. Take care.